there are a ton of secondary methods of making money. Whether or not you retain servicing or sell servicing is a way to, from an accounting standpoint, make quote unquote less or more money. So there are a lot of companies, especially over the past 2 or 3 years, instead of selling the entire loan into the secondary market, they retained the actual servicing. The servicing is the right to collect payments on behalf of someone else. So same situation applies. John Coleman's my home buyer, and John's getting a $300,000 loan from my mortgage company. I don't have $300,000 readily available to give to John. So I'm going to go fund John's loan off of my warehouse line, and I normally have multiple warehouse lines. If I'm a big player, if I'm a top 100 lender, I have multiple warehouse lines. I'm going to go borrow from my warehouse line. My warehouse line is not going to give me the full $300,000, right? They're going to haircut me somewhere between 3 to 5%. I'm going to fund John's loan, which, by the way, when I fund your loan, John, I am getting some fees from you at closing.
Okay.
Right? Those lender fees that clients pay, underwriting, doc prep, processing, those are fees that we collect as a mortgage lender because they help offset our costs.
Okay.
So that way it's not just the $6, $8, or $10,000 I made when I sold your loan, but it's also the $900 to $1,800 I made from you up front at closing. That is to help offset my cost. That's because underwriters aren't cheap, processors aren't cheap, IT bills aren't cheap, copiers aren't cheap, rent isn't cheap, health benefits aren't cheap, payroll taxes aren't cheap. Right? There's a cost of doing business. A certain part of that cost, mortgage lenders pass along to the consumer. I know some people want to call them junk fees.
You don't like that term?
I don't like that term. It's not junk per se. It's cost of doing business. It's revenue that the mortgage lender needs in order to operate based on their business model. It's only junk if you don't feel like you're getting value. Right? If you're not getting the service and the advice and the consultation along with the program and the interest rate that made the most sense for you, maybe they were junk. I don't like to see them as junk. I have a couple ways I can make up that money. I could have charged you an eighth or a quarter higher in interest rate. I mean, that was another way. Then I could have showed you no lender fees. That's also why I get my panties in a wad when mortgage lenders like to use these advertising and marketing tactics of no lender fees.
Yeah, we'll play
okay, cool.
Card, yeah.
Cool. Listen, homie, all you're doing is rolling that into someone's interest rate.